Right. Right. It's always weird. Okay, folks, this is Ron Tyler with Scarlet and Dwayne here on the Emergency Management Associates program. We are broadcasting live from Salt Lake City. And um, where are you from, Dwayne? Okay. Now, we've got Dwayne on the line and we have Scarlet on the line too. I'm going to bring them both into the discussion here. Uh, we'll, we're going to bring them in very quickly here. Um, gosh, here we go. I am cutting out. Holy crap. That's wild. Okay, I'm inviting you, Dwayne, and I am going to invite Scarlet here. It's station manager, right?
Where is Scarlet? I do not see Scarlet.
Folks, we're live on the air with Dwayne from Ohio and Scarlet from Minneapolis. We are going to be bringing you live video very shortly from Carson City, California. We have a major oil refinery in Carson, California. It's called the Marathon Fire, the Marathon Refinery Fire. This fire started at approximately 10:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time um, last night, Pacific Time in California. This fire, this fire, um, this fire started from an unknown source. We have a resident from Los Angeles, from Carson City, Joe Billings, that was putting his daughter to bed, according to KABC um, News in Los Angeles. And what happened was he was putting his daughter to bed when there was an explosion, and he said their entire house shook. Said their entire house shook. So this is not surprising to any of us that have experienced this. Scarlet um, Anonymous and I have covered two other refinery fires in Texas. So this is actually our third fire that Emergency Management Associates has been covering, and we're great. We're really grateful that Dwayne Lanham from Ohio is here with us. Scarlet will be here very shortly. Dwayne, welcome.
Thank you, Ron. You know, you know, looking at this, you know, they're saying that there's also a fire underneath of what's going on. Okay.
Right.
So knowing that with oil, it can burn for days.
Yes, it can. My fear, since I've worked earthquakes in California, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and stuff, my fear is that this fire could continue for days and even for weeks. That's what has happened over in Texas at the two refineries over there when there were explosions. So none of this surprises me at all. Um, what bothers me, folks, is that they have opened up the highway They have
Right.
opened up the highway to traffic, which is very concerning to me. They had closed it for a time, and now it's been opened up. I believe they're trying to uh, completely shut down the freeway, but they want to move people out of there. So they've opened up the freeway to get people out of that area. And people that are on the 405 Interstate 5 freeways um, south of there, the highway is probably still shut down. But the area where this refinery is, they've opened it up to get people out of there. Number one, they fear more explosions. Number two, they're they're worried about people's health at this point in time because every time there's a fire like this, folks, there's toxic fumes that come out of this fire. Um, SO2, for example, CO2, and various other chemicals are being released by this fire. And so they've opened up the highway to get people out. I don't think they're totally opening up. I think people that are south of the refinery have been stopped and they're not going to be let go. That's what I believe has happened. Now, folks, I don't have anything to prove it. Having been a federal police officer, and before that, having fought fires for a town in California, or California, of course, it was California, a town in San Diego County, I'm aware of what goes on. And because of my emergency management background as well, we know what is going on. And so my feeling, and I have not talked to the EOC in Los Angeles, and I may try contacting them and ask them if they want me to come online with them to consult and help them with this. Uh, my feeling is probably they already have this under control with their personnel. Um, I'm hoping that's the case. Um, the information we get from KABC, the refineries alarms went off, so that's an indication something was happening that was really bad, according to Billings that told the ABC News affiliate in Los Angeles. Uh, and again, this is a breaking news story. Okay, this is a breaking news story. Um, I don't believe that this is the end of it all. I don't believe this is the end of it. I'm going to share something with you right now.
I just did, by the way.
Oh,
They're letting
awesome.
everybody see the
Okay,
fire really quick, and you
this
can
is
change it.
live. This news footage you're seeing is live from KTLA Channel 5 in Los Angeles. There is the heart of the fire that we're showing you. Okay, these towers surrounding that fire to the east, meaning to your right as you're viewing this program, these towers are 100 to 115 feet above the ground. And you see occasional bursts of flame going up and above those towers, up and above those towers. So we know for a fact, number one, it's a hot fire. It always is a hot fire when it involves these refineries. And two, the other materials that are burning, the other materials here that are burning, besides just the fuel, those these this fire is probably upwards of 2,000 degrees, and it might even be higher than that. Right now, it appears that this fire is contained to the central part of the plant. Now you see smoke rising up from the left of this fire, southwest of this fire, in that same refinery. Now you also see, now they back the camera out, the helicopter, it appears that there's another fire just west and north of there. It appears there's another fire out there.
Ron, the one thing that has me sketchy about this is the fact when we looked at the diagram, the module of the fire, it's right behind the control panel. It's right in front of the control panel.
Yes.
So which is my worry. Have they even shut down the oil refinery because it's probably even too hot to get to the emergency control panel?
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably a good point there.
They probably have somebody at the control panel that's already shut off the petroleum going to that's feeding that fire.
Well, they
already
got one of
probably
the
have it
flares
shut
on. Look, Ron. See, look, they got one of the flares on. So they said
Right.
they couldn't turn that one off, but they turned the other one off. They got 2 flares.
Which is my thing, because with a control override panel like that, as we've seen behind it, is supposed to shut the entire, not just one section of the plant, but the entire plant down. Because with oil and gas moving like this, if anything leaks out in that area, this is coming from being, dealing with oil fires before. This can go boom in a big mile radius if anything was to leak.
Quick. It can go boom so quick.
Right.
At any point in time, this fire, like I said before, just a few minutes ago, this fire is probably burning at 2,000 degrees. The fire department is probably doing structure surrounding protection to keep those other tanks and buildings from blowing. Okay.
But there's only so much long that they can do that for.
Correct.
Before the water starts to become resistant to the buildings due to the fact of heat. Heat plays a huge factor.
It does.
And
you can, when they zoomed in the helicopter camera, it showed the fire department pouring probably a mixture of a chemical, so it doesn't. See, if it was just water, that flame would spread.
Right.
They're pouring. I don't remember the name of the chemical. It's just the fire department has it, and they can spray it on top of tankers. They can spray it on top of cars. It's almost like a foam. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but they can spray it there to contain that fire.
So basically, what the chemical is, it's basically a sand particle material that would soak up any loose oil that has not burned on the outer side of it. And what this sand does is it acts quick.
And it takes the air out of the fire. There's 3 things that the fire must have: heat, fuel, and air to start. By putting this chemical basis on pouring it on the fire and pouring it in the surrounding area, it is choking the air out of the fire to try to put it out.
Right. The one thing with dealing with an oil fire is with water, you do not get up close and personal with it.
No. Oh, heck no.
That's why they're so far back. I mean, you can see the streams going in. They're going back,
They're probably 3 or 4 football fields away from this fire.
Yeah.
Normally,
there's probably a LA fire helicopter in that area telling them where to point that stream of water.
Yep. And as an experienced firefighter and someone that's in the EMS fire community, when we deal with oil fires, we stand about 600 yards back. Normally,
look how much water's down there.
Yeah, they've got at least probably the plant has water systems.
Oh yeah, and they're off the canal system, so they're pulling water from that.
Right, they're gonna pull water from that, and if it gets bigger, what will be done is normally a helicopter or something would come in with a bucket of water and drop it. Due to the fact that you can't get so close to that. Because even with the suits that they have on, it's not going to protect them.
Well, look, it's like a river now. You can't even get down there. Look, it's like a river.
Yeah, it is.
Look, it's starting to get up towards the, second set of steps. The water, the water's rising like a flood now.
Yeah. See, they're pouring thousands of gallons. They have probably, folks, excuse me, I've got a cold.
Right.
and that's why I'm coughing. And yes, I've got tea, and I've taken other stuff to stop the drainage. And anyway, um, I'm sorry I'm coughing. Uh, but they have chemicals there, and I'm sure, like Dwayne said, they have helicopters. But I don't think that they're going to make helicopter drops onto this fire because it's too hot for that helicopter to get anywhere near it.
True.
It rises.
It would just dissipate before they could probably even get close enough.
Probably.
Right. So for them to do a helicopter drop, the temperature of the fire would have to drop under significantly to about a 1200 degree max.
Yeah.
It has to be under that for a helicopter to make a drop.
Right.
Because oil burns anywhere between 2,000 and 3,500 degrees.
Yeah.
At a maximum rate of, I would say, about 30 seconds is how quick that heat can shoot.
Yep.
So even if a helicopter tried to get in there at 2,500 degrees, one, that heat is going to melt the wire.
Right.
That carries the bucket, and two, can mess up the propellers and everything.
Yeah, just the heat alone could affect the performance of the helicopter. Absolutely.
Yes.
Right, because you got to think of the wind factor. You got to, of the fire, and the ventilation. So there's multiple factors playing in if they're going to be able to pull this out, because sooner or later, the fire trucks are going to run out of water. They only carry about 20, 30 gallons.
Well, no, they carry hundreds of gallons on the fire truck, but they're hooked in.
There's hydrants probably there.
Yeah, there's hydrants all over that area. I know of at least 4 hydrants in that area myself, and that's probably changed over the years since I've been there.
Right.
But they're hooked into the hydrants. They probably doused that fire so far. Right now, folks, we are in over 3 hours since this fire happened at 10:45. We're into 3 hours of this fire, almost 2.5 actually. We're 2.5 hours into this fire. They probably dumped something to the tune of 50,000 gallons of water.
Roughly.
This fire.
Oh, at least, because I mean, Dwayne and I have been watching. Because I was like, Dwayne, like, this is how it goes. Like, because I'm scrolling. Me and Dwayne are chatting about our lives like usual at night. This is our chat
see
time.
The tanks west of the refinery? See all those supply tanks? This is where petroleum trucks pull up to fill up their rigs to take it out to the consumer fuel stations. And if you also, an error has occurred.
Yeah, I see that.
Anyway, if you saw in that wide shot, if you saw the area to the west and to the north, it's a residential area out there.
Right. Let me pull up a map or something. We'll get something.
Right, which is my question. Why hasn't, even though that they say the fire has contained within the one area, anything within, 10 miles of the refinery should be at least under mandatory evacuation. And like Scarlet said earlier on the phone, due to the fact that, what you said, 2 cities, Scarlet?
Yeah, in two localities in California, we've got the San Francisco County area, and I cannot think of the other one off the top of my head, but they're both in.
Yeah, in this particular area, folks, it's all of Los Angeles County. Carson City is in LA County.
They said 13 minutes away from downtown LA.
Yeah, 13 minutes from downtown. This fire, folks, is right next to the Interstate 5 freeway. There were conversations had, and I discussed this on the phone with Scarlet and Dwayne a little bit earlier before we came on the air. We discussed it on the phone, but in 2014 we had a 4.5 magnitude earthquake that hit there, and I was watching live with Carlos Amezcua, who was working for KTLA at the time. He was a friend of mine from San Diego. He worked for the KFMB TV affiliate in San Diego before he went to LA. And so I was watching his program, when that earthquake hit, and Carlos said, "I think we're having an earthquake, and it's time to get under the desk," which is is the proper procedure to do during an earthquake. Then, when the main shaking stopped, Carlos said this was a 4.5 magnitude earthquake that shook Los Angeles County, and explained what was going on. It's a moderate earthquake, but probably nothing's happened. Well, within about 20 minutes, reports were coming in that that earthquake broke water lines, underground water lines, underground uh, pipelines for gas, meaning natural gas and other fuels. It also, besides rupturing those pipelines, it also broke glass windows throughout Los Angeles County. At that point in time, I was asked to help consult um, with the Los Angeles Emergency Operations Center. And within a couple hours after that, they asked me to get on a plane and come out to help them, which I did. But people were concerned at that point in time because there's residences around this fire, around this refinery. And people were concerned that if another moderate earthquake, and there's, folks, there is a fault that runs right down beside Interstate 5 in that area. If that fault were to rupture, what would happen to all that fuel that's sitting right next to the highway? That was the
Yeah.
question. And concerned citizens in Los Angeles were fuming. They were mad. And they had every right to be mad because they were asking the city to do something about this refinery and move it out of that area. Now, what has happened in Los Angeles? What happened in LA is this refinery was there before all those neighborhoods were built, before those homes were built. And because of that, developers came in and said, "Oh my gosh, we want to make some money." And so they developed that land, built homes in that area, and people bought them without realizing that there was a major oil gas refinery right near them. I think within a very short time they figured it out. But because of everything that goes on in Los Angeles, the politics and people forget about things, nothing was really done. The
Right.
ball was dropped. So these residences near the refinery, at some point in time when they moved in, they figured out, oh, we have a refinery there. What is being done? And the city and county probably downplayed it. Oh, nothing's going to happen. We have these safeguards in place. Nothing's going to happen. Well, what happened in LA in 2014? A 4.5 magnitude earthquake, a moderate earthquake, shook Los Angeles, broke gas lines, water mains, and broke windows all over the city. And that was only a moderate earthquake. It wasn't even a large earthquake. Can you imagine what would happen if, I can't even say if, it's going to happen. It's not even if, it's when it's going to happen. When that fault moves, can you imagine what's going to happen at that oil plant, this refinery, and the surrounding area, the freeways and the residential areas? And there's other businesses. Folks, I've been in Carson City. I've been right around this plant. I've driven by it hundreds of times. When that earthquake hits, it's going to decimate that entire area. I'm sure Dwayne has got so much experience, it's not funny. I'm sure Dwayne can echo this, that we see things happen and there's no rhyme or reason sometimes,
Right.
unfortunately.
Right. Ron, like if this oil if this oil facility would go up completely in flames within any minute, this is gonna this could affect a 100 to 200 mile radius, you know, outwards from it, no matter what safeguard is in place, with dealing, you know, like this. I will say that the city of Los Angeles has literally one has completely dropped the ball on it.
Right.
Because they would not ever think that, our oil plant's not going to go up in flames. But let me tell you this. As someone that's done EMS for over 2 years, EMS and fire for over 2 to 3 years, I have seen more fires like this with oil than I would want to imagine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
With the heat, the mixture of the gas and everything, not only are you looking at a complete decimated city, you're now also looking at a hazmat biohazard zone because of all the fumes in the air.
That's exactly right.
You got carbon monoxide, you got sulfur, you got all these other chemicals in the air that you can't breathe in.
Right. Sulfur will kill you. Sulfur will kill you real quick.
That's the truth. Sulfur dioxide, off of one of these type of fires would be a big deal. Yeah. That's something that I think would be air quality. With one of these incidents happen, even the Northern Metals incident that happened here, they never tell you air quality till it's too late. Sensitive groups, be careful. But there's never really an alarm like, hey, everybody, shut your windows and, turn off your AC if you have it on. And just simple things that can help protect people in the neighborhoods who are closest to these affected areas.
Right. Even though the smoke's not going towards the neighborhoods, just due to the fact that it's now polluted. Okay. Now the fact that you have sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, and whatever other elements are being released, even though the smoke's not going towards cities, this stuff's going into the air. And us firefighters, we're not even, everybody thinks that, because we have air filter masks on, we're not resistant to some chemicals.
Yeah. Well, and the average population isn't used to, we're used to some pollution, right?
Right.
But we're not used to these elevated levels.
Right. The petroleum refinery, the Marathon Petroleum Refinery, produces approximately 363,000 barrels of oil a day, and they distribute all grades of gasoline and ultra low sulfur. Okay.
Right.
That's what's in that plant.
Right.
Right. In the petroleum alone, if you look at the chemical components of petroleum, you have more than the CO2 and the SO2 mixed together. If I were to pull up what the elements, if I go to my computer right here and pull up the elements for petroleum.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, folks, this refinery, has been in operation since 1938.
Oh. Yeah, isn't Richfield, Dwayne had found out that it was the largest oil refinery.
It's the largest oil refinery on the East Coast. Now, if you look at this, although the composition of petroleum will contain many trace elements, the key compounds are carbon, 93% to 97%, hydrogen, 10 to 14%, nitrogen, 0.1 to 2%, oxygen, 0.1 to 1.5%, and sulfur with 0.5 to 6%, with a few trace metals making up a very small percentage, a 2 to 3% of the petroleum composition. So now you got carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and sulfur, you have hydrogen oxide, nitrogen oxide, and sulfur. I don't remember the component name for
dioxide.
That. Sulfur dioxide. So now you get all these different elements because mixed with O2.
Yep.
This is going to make
a toxic mix. Besides all of the other, pollution, geothermal plants that are out there, now we've got an issue, right?
Right.
And, so, and now everybody's like discontinued their broadcast on this, which I find interesting. But yet now we're going to see, they said they just updated the story, but I don't see it updated. Let's go see if we actually can find a physical update, because I'd like to hear something about it. You know, I can't imagine that they would pop on then to just be like, you know what? Don't worry about it. Everything's fine.
Right, which makes it sketchy.
To me, that always makes it sketchy. That always makes me think, well, what else is going on? You know, my tinfoil hat goes on then. Yeah. They say both sides of the 405 were temporarily shut down, but reopened within less than an hour. The refinery's own firefighters were on scene, fighting the blaze and working to depressurize the system while units from LA County Fire Department arrived to assist. The county fire department says there was an explosion before the fire broke out in a cooling tower at the refinery. Marathon Refinery is believed to be the largest on the West Coast, producing some 363,000 barrels of crude per day.
Right, and now you can see, I didn't even know it was the cooling system either, because without that cooling system, that plant's not going to be able to be up and running, because that keeps everything at a steady temperature to run the plant. So that plant can be down for
who knows how long. And can we get the parts? Because guess what? China's closed.
Yeah.
Okay? China's closed. So do we get the parts, or does this sit now unfixed for a while? It's a question we're going to have to find out.
See, this plant supplies oil and gas to a great area, not just in Los Angeles, folks. This plant also supplies oil, gas, and fuel even here to Salt Lake City, where I live. There's also another petroleum plant, and believe it or not, yes, it's Marathon.
Yep.
The Marathon company operates the Marathon refinery on the northwest side of northwest side of Salt Lake, just west of the Interstate 15 here in Salt Lake City. And that Interstate 15 is 4 to 6 lanes in each direction in that area. So it's a big deal. And I just found out that Marathon also operates here in Salt Lake.
Yeah, TLO asked the question in chat. Well, the question is the whole plant on fire? No, the whole plant is not on fire. But what is important is that the fire is close enough to the control module where it could be an issue. And now, like we just came to the conclusion, it was the cooling system. So the cooling system is going to keep everything in that plant that's burning hot crude at a good temperature so things just don't melt, right?
Yeah.
So now that capability doesn't exist, what are the implications for the West Coast's largest oil refinery?
Right. And, you know, my next question is, you know, because in some cooling systems like this, some cooling systems are mixed with oil.
Right.
You know, so that's my question is how much oil or petroleum has been released? Because when one part of a refinery goes boom, one or two more parts go boom.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is why that's
like we said, if it's close to the control module, it goes down anyway. And then can we even get the parts? Because China's closed.
Right.
You know, I know that's not necessarily how it actually is, but as far as I'm concerned, China's closed. Like,
but Scarlet, you made a good point too on the phone when you brought this up. What if we're at war with China?
What? Yeah. You know, all this with the coronavirus brings me back to that. What if, silent weapons for quiet wars, right? Deborah Tavares, stopthecrime.net, right? So you think about it and, all right, what if this is like some biological agent war and, the trade war and the tariffs and all this is just now escalated to this level? And, now they attack, American infrastructure. We know our grid is fragile for even having internet or even being able to have this program. One person comes in with faulty intentions, they take down the whole grid. So we need to think about that. Could this have been some type of retaliatory attack? Would they ever admit that? Absolutely not. So it would be something that we'd have to keep as a conspiracy theory. So you can either keep it under your hat or not. But I do think it's something that we should consider.
Right.
No,
Absolutely.
I hate to play this game of conspiracy theory, but honestly, you have to start looking at all factors of
Yeah.
what started this fire and how it's going to be handled. Now, part of handling a fire like this, a major refinery fire, it's politics. It's politics. You can doggone well better believe that the mayor of Los Angeles and his entire staff are at the EOC, the
Yep.
Emergency Operations Center.
Oh, yeah. They probably already are anyway, because don't they have emergency operations centers set up for coronavirus and they're already
Yes.
activated? You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm sure that, you know, California as a state has some EOC open.
And speaking
You
of
know.
which, San Francisco this afternoon declared a state of emergency regarding
Right.
the coronavirus. So
Right.
they have opened their EOC in San Francisco, and they opened it several weeks ago when they first announced that there were problems in San Francisco with the coronavirus. In other words, people that had immigrated or had just been in China, and they staffed their EOC almost immediately. Well, now they've declared a state of emergency in San Francisco, and this is just going to be one more thing. But the politicians, including the governor, who's an idiot, I'm sorry, folks, I have no respect for the governor of California. He's a fool that should go to prison.
Gavin Newsom, yeah, he's a thorn in my side. You know, and with all these bills too, people are talking about the bill. God, what is it? SB like 2489 or something like that. I'll have to look up what number it actually is. But it's a bill like AB 99. It's like AB 99's companion in California, but worse, right? Because Pan wrote it. So it basically says they can come into your home when you're under quarantine or under a state of health emergency. They can take your property, they can take your home, they can destroy your property, they can do whatever they want with it, and you just have to deal with it.
Right.
So, I mean, you know.
You don't have any rights, guys.
No, we don't.
Okay?
We don't. They've been taken already. You know, I know that people realize, oh, we should still fight for the right. No. If we're going to do this, we have to fight to get all the rights back because we already lost them.
Now, I don't know how many people that are in our chat that live in California.
I'm a bad person.
But your Governor Newsom there in California is by marriage is related to Nancy Pelosi. And not just that, but Barbara Boxer, who are two big heavyweight senators in Los Angeles.
Isn't that cute? I just found out today that Rod Rosenstein's sister is Nancy Messonnier, the head of the CDC.
Yes. And he's also related to Pelosi.
Isn't it cute how they all keep it in the family?
Keep it in the family. Yeah, right. Never mind. I'm going to shut up.
Yeah, you just better, Dwayne. You better behave yourself. Behave yourself. Thank you.
I'm behaving.
All right. But, you know, it's interesting because we have all these shady characters, right? And like I said, it's not something that we could say for sure, but it's something to think about. You have to think about slow strategic war. You can't do something right now that upsets the total balance of the world right now because we're already teetering. But, you know, you pick slowly. You know, it's like, you know, systematic torture. You know, could it be? There is a potential. Is it? Yeah. We don't know. Will we be told about it? Absolutely not.
Right. In this now doesn't help.
Yeah.
You know, so
we have information here, and yes, this came out approximately, 1 hour ago. It was updated just 1 hour ago. This refinery fire, an explosion preceded the fire in the cooling tower, as we talked about. Marathon personnel are keeping flames in check via fixed ground monitors. they have cameras and they have infrared sensors that help them work and see what's going on. And the people are in the control area, control room building, and they're trying to depressurize the system so they can stop the flow of fuel into these areas. Okay, these people are working to stop the flow through the pipelines. They're shutting them down. Now, this fire broke out about 10:50 p.m. at the refinery, which is located 2350 East 223 South. That's 2350 East and 223 Street, 223rd Street, between Wilmington Avenue and Alameda Street, south of the San Diego 405 freeway. Details that sparked what sparked the fire were not immediately available. Video from the scene showed several burn-offs occurring at the plant. There is no immediate report of injuries at the plant or outside of the plant. All northbound and southbound lanes of the San Diego freeway at Wilmington Avenue have been temporarily blocked starting at 11:10 p.m., which was approximately 2 hours and 20 minutes ago. Um, they later reopened at 11:43, according to the California Highway Patrol. Now, you need to be aware that I believe what they did in shutting down the freeway there is they're trying to get people out of that area. Like I said a little while ago, they shut down the freeway south of there. The 405 is a north-south freeway, a major artery in Los Angeles, and they
Right.
probably shut traffic down north or south of the fire. And by opening it up at, around the fire, they're getting people out of there because of the toxic fumes. Okay, I don't think LA City wants to handle lawsuits that are definitely going to happen. Definitely going to happen because of this fire. Now, why would they sue Los Angeles? Because Los Angeles has let this refinery continue around the. There's a like I said before, there is a residential area to the west. There's residential and commercial structures to the north, and to the south there are more residential and commercial structures. So I don't know what honestly I don't know the direction of the wind out there. I'm going to tune into the National Weather Service right now,
You
find
know
out
what?
what direction the wind.
I can pull that up for you. This is
Please
in
do
Long
that,
Beach,
Dwayne. That's
right?
great. Thank you.
This is in Long Beach, am I correct?
No, it's
Correct.
in Carson City. It's near Long Beach, but it's in Carson City. It would be interesting to find out which direction the wind is coming from and which direction it's blowing because they will be evacuating residential and commercial structures that are in the path of the toxic fumes.
Right, right, right. So, from
Having
literally
done, I've
one,
done drills involving terrorism and stuff, and that's the protocol. When something like this especially happens, they're going to treat it as a terrorism incident until they know otherwise. They're going to completely investigate this.
so the wind speed is 2 miles per hour. I looked that up first.
Well,
And then
that's
the
good.
wind direction that you're looking at, if my computer will load,
And just so you know, guys, California Edison Power, unveiled a 3-year, $3.8 billion plan to prevent Southern California wildfires. So they,
Ron is going to be moving 2 miles per hour north to northeast.
okay, that's good to know. That's really good to know. Um, I'm going to, I'm going to try to pull a picture here showing that entire area. I want everybody to see this area around the fire because it's huge. Like I said, it's residential and commercial structures.
Right.
Yeah. You'd have to be ready for that cloud. It's going to go somewhere, right? It's going to have to go somewhere. That's just the bottom line. And so hopefully we can, they say it's under control. They say, okay. But it was something that just popped up in the middle of the night that makes you wonder. The fact that they were covering it so heavy and then we're like, nope, shut it down. That just makes me wonder. They usually wouldn't even cut in for something like that. Why even cut in?
Right.
So, it is. It's interesting.
Oh, absolutely it is.
Yeah. I didn't see any like earthquakes at all. So I don't see that, in any like even twos or anything, greater Los Angeles, nothing. So it's interesting.
The Marathon Refinery is the largest refinery on the West Coast, and it processes heavy crude oil from California's San Joaquin Valley and Los Angeles Basin. Um, it is a major refinery. Um, Having had a fire here now, it's going to immediately raise fuel prices in California, which could also affect the entire nation. When a when a refinery is shut down, folks, prices immediately skyrocket everywhere. In the past, when we've had refineries shut down ever since Jimmy Carter was president, the public asked Jimmy Carter and other presidents since to open up the nation's oil reserve. They have billions of barrels of oil stored in various facilities across the nation that they can open up to make available to the general public to control the price gouging. And believe me, that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, my wife and daughter were out in Los Angeles just about 2 months ago, and they reported fuel prices of nearly $5 a gallon. So you can imagine what is going on and what will happen now in Los Angeles. The fuel companies, the gas stations, are going to immediately raise their prices. Now, they don't have to do it immediately, but they will. Why don't they have to do it immediately? Because their supply underground in their tanks at the gas stations, they bought that oil, they bought that petroleum at a set price prior to this fire. So they don't have to sell it at a raised price gouging price, but they do, and that it's this has happened throughout history. The gas stations are definitely going to raise their prices. We are going to see it probably in the next 24 hours, seeing what happened when this refinery shut down. Now, this fire, we've said this earlier in the broadcast, this fire probably will not be put out for days and possibly even weeks. Yes, it started in a cooling tower, but how much of that fire is underground or in pipes beneath the
Right.
plant?
It's a good point.
So, yeah, I just want people to understand what is going on. Okay, I want you to understand. You have to understand the politics and geopolitical nonsense that goes on. Okay, it's incredible. I've seen it time and time and time again. It happens, and it's unbelievable to me. It really is unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. It's what a time to be alive. Absolutely.
I'm showing a picture that's come from a video um, from Channel 9 in the area. showing where that fire is in the surrounding area. You see to the south, meaning to the left of the fire, these are commercial buildings over here. Now, I don't remember what commercial buildings are here, what who operates them. Over here to uh, the southwest, there's residential homes out here. Up here to the north, there's more commercial structures and residences, and most of these are condominiums, high rises in the Los Angeles area. Okay, you also see the canal that we spoke of earlier. Now, I'm very glad that they have a handle on this fire because otherwise, this crude, these petroleum products could end up in this canal, and then there would be major issues all over LA County and all over California. This canal runs right straight through Los Angeles, and I don't remember where it ends. I don't know where it ends. I don't remember. But it runs in the entire area of LA. And there's homes, there's other buildings, there's tanks on this side of that canal that are part of
Actually,
this refinery.
actually, Scarlett, when you said about the whole earthquake thing
Hmm.
earlier, there 44 minutes ago, at 1.6 magnitude in Sealy, California.
Okay.
Sealy is Sealy is pretty far north of there.
Yeah. So I mean, nothing close to there though, and that wouldn't have been at the time of the fire starting either. And somebody said there was an eyewitness who said 3 explosions, right? And so people are claimed to have heard 3 explosions, and then the sirens went off in their neighborhood. But this just shows if something happens like this during, they're telling us right now to get ready, right, for the coronavirus. Get ready. If something happens to this neighborhood and you're bugging in, what do? What's your plan to bug in or out when you're already bugged in or out?
The proper procedure,
Question.
if you decide to stay in your home and you're allowed to stay there by the authorities, the proper procedure is to seal up your house to keep toxic gases from coming in your house. In other words, put up plastic sheeting, drop cloths around your windows with duct tape to make sure all that toxic air won't enter your home. And not just windows, your doors of your home, the doors of your home. And if they do quarantine an area like that and tell people to shelter in, they will tell people don't go outside, stay in your homes, and they enforce that. There's police. There are police that do nothing but support the quarantine action in a shelter-in place uh, order from the politicians in that area. The police, enforce, excuse me, enforce their policies and procedures. And if you don't do it, you'll be arrested, and you'll probably end up going to Lompoc Penitentiary out north of Los Angeles, um, up east of Santa Barbara area, or you could go to work, or be worse, you could be sentenced to Folsom State Penitentiary, where really bad guys are. I wouldn't want to do that. I know too much about the prison system and the jails. LA County Jail is one of the most dangerous places to be. One person said, a witness described hearing multiple explosions. We thought there was some sort of movie being filmed. Then we realized it was way more serious than we had imagined, according to a Williamton resident in that area. The Marathon refinery is the largest, of course, we already said this, that it is the largest refinery on the West Coast. It processes heavy crude oil from California's San Joaquin Valley, LA Basin. Uh, and that information you can get from the Marathon website. There's still no firm reports of fire or related injuries at this point in time.
No, the fact that it was probably at night was probably a good thing for injury's sake. Probably not a lot of people who work overnight at that plant, so that was also probably good.
Yeah.
Right.
So there were probably things that helped. You know, that's just kind of my opinion.
Well, it happened at a very good time. One, it didn't happen um, right at the either quitting time in the afternoon in Los Angeles. This is Tuesday. It was Tuesday evening, late Tuesday night, when this fire hit. These explosions happened. Can you imagine what would have happened if this was uh, the evening drive time between 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening? Can you imagine what would have happened? This whole area, unreal the traffic. It would already be stop and go at that point in time, and the police and fire departments wouldn't be able to clear those freeways like that. At this point in time, this was probably the best time for this fire to start.
Yep. Yeah. Meanwhile, many other things are happening. Multiple plagues are happening in China. You have the locusts, you have the bird flu, you have the African swine flu. I mean, you name it, they've got it.
Right. It's incredible. It's really incredible.
Yeah, and also they're talking about the monkeys are on the rampage in Florida that supposedly have herpes and they're infecting people.
That's probably purposeful.
Yeah, rhesus macaques are on the rampage on the banks of the Silver River in Florida and are constantly breeding and expanding their range, bringing them into conflict with people.
Right.
And a very small percentage.
So, I mean, that's really interesting. You know, and you can catch herpes from these monkeys. And the rhesus monkey also, you know, they thought also carried HIV at one point. So they say 25% carries herpes B, but it's not zero. It's believed 21 people have been killed by herpes passed to them from monkeys in the past century.
The LA Times is reporting, folks. The LA Times is reporting on this. The 405 freeway reopened, and that's what we reported a while back. A large fire is still burning at the Marathon Petroleum Refinery in Carson, sending flames like we reported 100 feet in the air. LA County Fire Department said an explosion preceded the blaze in a cooling tower at the refinery. Crews are working to depressurize the system like we said before. Residents as far away as Glendale, Studio City, and Atwater Village reported hearing the explosion. Fire prompted a brief closure of all lanes of the 405 freeway at Wilmington Avenue, according to CHP. All lanes were reopened at 11:45 p.m. after being closed about 30 minutes. Jennifer Alenza, public information officer with the LA Sheriff's Office, LA County Sheriff's Office, said on Twitter that the agency had secured a perimeter around the refinery. At this time, we don't anticipate to evacuate residents. Daniel Ahmed, 22, lives about 1.5 miles west of the refinery, and we pointed that picture out that there were residences back over there. Ahmed was doing her nightly routine when she heard a loud boom. The shutters rattled. The sound spooked her cat. Ahmed said she wondered if it was an explosion or a mass shooting. I got really confused and honestly frightened, she said. My heart was racing. Then she heard a second explosion and thought it might be a multi-car accident. She soon saw posts on social media about the refinery fire. She went to her window at first and didn't smell the smoke. Of course, because the little bit of breeze it's blowing, it's 2 miles an hour, and it's blowing south to north. Okay, so she's not being west of the fire. She probably won't even smell anything until tomorrow morning when the wind changes and blows west out over the ocean. that is the point in time when these fumes from the fire, the smoke from the fire, will be heading over these homes to the west of the refinery. Uh, she said she did smell something. It wasn't smoke. It smelled like chemical. It was a type of smell that sits at the back of your throat. Carson resident Joe Billings told KABC that he was putting his daughter to bed. We reported on this when the explosion happened. The house shook. Excuse me, I'm sorry, folks. The refinery alarms went off, and indications something was really bad. Noting the alarm went off at 10:45 p.m. at the start of the fire. He also reported, as we did, that his home was 2 miles away from the fire. Ruben Bonda, 22, who lives less than 2 miles from the refinery, heard a loud noise, but at first assumed nothing was wrong. Quote, I live next to the train yard. Yes, there's a major train facility that runs through there. Burlington Northern Santa Fe runs through there. And they're always heard next to their house. Quote, so when I heard a very loud boom, I didn't think anything of it. Just another day where the trains are just loud. When Bondo walked outside, he saw a bright light coming from the refinery and realized there was smoke in the air. So residences west of the fire did smell the smoke, which is unusual. Maybe not so unusual because the fire's only or the wind, the breeze is only blowing at 2 miles an hour, meaning that the smoke is literally expanding over that entire area. It's like a what do they call it? A weather phenomenon that creates stagnant air and pollutants in the area. I don't remember what it's called. It blows my mind. I've worked with this so very long.
Right.
Yeah, it's really crazy when you really think about what's going on.
Oh, absolutely crazy.
You know, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of things going on right now, and you have to just realize and assess each threat. You know, what is this threat? You know, obviously there really isn't too many implications, you know, larger than the local area. But if they can't get that back online, will that be an issue?
Yeah.
It will, over a long period of time, yes, it will be.
You know,
gosh, this is wild. This is completely
What doing?
wild.
Go
the
ahead.
fact, you know, that everything's happening together. Okay. The fire, the control panel, and everything else. Like, there's something behind this, and I don't know.
We're going to see the implications of what it does to that area
Within
and what
hours.
happens. Yeah. We're going to find out. They can't hide it for very long.
Yeah. No. They're going to downplay this too.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to downplay it and call people like us fearmongers for reporting the incident, the event.
Right. They're going to try to say that we're spreading fear.
Yep.
You know, when the only thing we're doing is covering what the news media quit doing.
Yeah.
You know, which to me seems like this. They quit covering it, and it's a conspiracy theory, but I'm throwing it out of my head.
Right.
That they knew it was going to happen. Just to get a story going. Bet.
Yeah. I totally get it.
Yeah. So we just got to watch this. I was just going to take a quick peek at the coronavirus updates of where we're at. I know that there are a few people live. Right now, there's also the live press briefing. This is a good time if people are usually up at this time to go watch the Hong Kong columns translated press conferences from Hong Kong live. They do it only on Facebook every morning, though, but it's about this time. So you have to be up really early to catch it. And it's already midday there, so they're giving you like the full overview of already what's happened for the day.
Yeah.
Also, CGTN is also live right now too, which is like China's, owned news station. Agenda Free TV is also on right now live. We're at about 2,764 dead, 81,016 cases.
With the U.S. with the confirmed cases of 57.
Yep.
Yeah, but even Nancy Besimir said last weekend, she told one of her friends that there was probably 1,000 cases, but now they're only reporting how many? Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they say that the test kits don't work. They're having issues. Only 3 places can actually do the test kits. All types of issues, to where we cannot trust the numbers we're getting at all. We just can't.
And it's not even just that.
That's
it's not just that. The issue here is the test kit that they have out, supposedly to test people for this virus, is faulty.
Yep.
3 out of 4 tests are negative. The 5th test is a positive test. Can we confirm that test is reliable?
No, we can't. And you know who gave us the gene assay to be able to run it? China.
Yeah.
Can we trust it? Was it
Yeah.
Was it all done by design? Again, are we in a war with China just without guns and troops?
Yeah. Nothing surprises me, guys.
Yeah, nothing surprises me at this point either. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I believe. But it's important to think about different scenarios, because different scenarios help you play out how you're going to react. And I think right now, there's so many different factors that can change everything in a minute. We need to think about multiple plans. You need to not just think about A, B, C, D. We need to be at E, F, G, and beyond,
Right.
So I hope everybody's doing, what preparations they can, being aware for strange things in your neighborhood like this to happen. I do think that's important as we go through these next few weeks that may or may not be hard. I mean, we got the CDC saying it's going to be bad. I mean, we don't hear the CDC say bad very often, which is such a nonchalant word that makes me think this could be actually catastrophic because they're using the word bad already. And there's not anything here.
Right. Like even Scarlet came to me yesterday. I have 147 people in my state self-quarantining themselves because they decided to come back from China.
Yeah.
And I don't know where these 147 people live. Be nice. Keep me away. That's why I stay at my home all day.
One of our people in our chat, Michael, put out the question, or Mikel. No, it wasn't either Mikel. TLO put this out because the fire could possibly have been set on purpose to test how people would react having been ordered.
See, that's a good question. And coming from that question, it could be a possibility with, quarantining happened, everything. I'm just linking this all together here now.
Well, yeah, this was like a shelter-in-place event. They didn't call for any evacuations, but yeah, definitely a shelter-in-place event. I mean, how many people
would have to
aware of it? How many people were just out and about?
Right,
they would have to have had a shelter-in-place. They would have to.
That's true.
We looked at the refineries, those 2 refinery fires that Scarlet and I covered they had shelter in place going for several hours.
Yeah.
Several hours, 4, 5, 6 hours, until authorities made the decision, and I think it was the sheriff of that county made the decision, let's get people out of there.
Yep.
And at that point in time, they called for a massive evacuation up to, I believe it was 12 miles away. Not just 1 or 2 miles away from that plant, but 12 miles away
Wow.
from that oil refinery down there. Gosh, what was the name of that?
Port Arthur.
Yeah, Port Arthur. Well, there's Port Arthur, and then there was something like Nagatoches or something like that. I don't
Yeah,
remember the name.
Nagadoche.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my police
Yeah.
academy director
Yeah. So I mean,
used to patrol Nagatoches County.
oh right. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, it's interesting. We're going to keep watching it. We'll obviously be back tomorrow with all you guys. We just wanted to come on and let you know about this event that was happening, let you know what was going on, keep you updated. Just stay aware right now. Like I was telling everybody before we came on air, I had seen an interesting Q post from people that were talking about today, or tomorrow actually, but Thursday would be a day to watch. So it'll be interesting to see how many tensions we get between there and then. Be interesting to see where the stock market opens in the morning. Just all different factors that I think we need to put into play.
You mentioned stock market. One of the stock market's headquarters is in Los Angeles. They have their own facility in LA. Sorry about that, folks. I got to drink some more tea.
You know, this is going to be.
It's going to be a trying time for all of us, for sure. We're going to need
Absolutely.
to depend on one another. We're going to need to work together as one to try to get through this. And I think that it'll be an ultimate test of, you know, how we can work together as a team. Maybe with even out knowing someone, maybe without even, you know, interacting with them before. It's going to be a new thing. It's going to be something different.
It is. Folks, we want to thank you for joining us here on the Emergency Management Associates program Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. We want to thank you for being with us. Please share this video with your friends, your family, and your associates that you work with, and even neighbors. Let them know who we are and what we're doing to help our communities, because that's what this is all about. That's why we came on the air, to cover yet another refinery fire.
Right.
We will be keeping an eye on things. If things do change, we will be back on the air to let you know what is going on. For Ron and Scarlet and Dwayne, we're out of here, guys. Have a great night. God bless you. Do know that we love you. As Walter Cronkite would say, and that's the way it is. Wednesday, February 26th, 2020. For Emergency Management Associates, this is Ron Tyler, Scarlet, and Dwayne. We're out of here, folks.
Good night,
Take
everyone.
it easy. Good night, everybody. Take it easy. We done good.